Sorry, I don't have a gavel. I need everybody's attention. Thank you all so much. At this time, we'll have to do that again. Can we have everyone's attention, please? Thank you. Good evening. Welcome to the Clayton County Board of Education Board meeting. Today is June 3rd, 2024. The time is 6:03 p.m. I am going to call the meeting to order at this time. And we just completed executive session where we discussed personnel matters. But at this time, I want everyone to please stand so that we can recite the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you so much. At this time, we are going to we will start with board recognitions, but before we do that, I will call the roll for the board. Starting with District 1, Ms. Jasmine Bowles.
Present.
District 2, Mr. Mark Christmas.
Present.
District 3, Jesse Goree, that's me. District 4, Ms. Victoria Williams.
Present.
District 5, Dr. D. Haney.
Present.
District 6, Ms. Mary Baker. District 7, Ms. Sabrina Hill.
Present.
District 8, Ms. Joy Tellis Cooper. District 9, Mr. Benjamin Straker.
Present.
Superintendent, Dr. Anthony Smith.
Present.
Attorney, Mr. Clem Doyle.
Present.
Board Liaison, Ms. Kim Blackwood. Administrative Assistant to the Superintendent, Ms. Arlesia Battle. Administrative Assistant to the Deputy Superintendent and Chief of Staff, Ms. Don Blau. All right, thank you. All right, so we are here in the Performing Arts Center because we have board recognitions and we have a nice crowd out here. So board members, we are going to line up and do our board recognitions at this time.
While the board members are lining up, I will ask that all individuals who are here to be recognized for first in math, please line up along the far wall. All individuals who are here for first in math. Madam Chair, Mr. Vice Chair, members of the board, Superintendent Smith, members of Cabinet, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight's recognitions include students of all ages, as you will see, staff members, as well as community partners. We will begin our recognitions with the Mathematic Awards. We will ask Dr. Keith Colbert, Dr. Delphia Young, Dr. Charmaine Johnson, Dr. Tim Guiney, Mr. Derek Manning, Mr. Lonnie Farmer, Dr. Cassandra Hopkins, Dr. Shanice Ratcliffe, Dr. Tanya Clark, and Ms. Tiffany Neely, if they would, to please join the board on stage. Due to the large number of honorees, we will be recognizing students in groups. Names of the students will appear on the screen that you will see on the back side of the stage. Also, due to the large number of schools involved in most of the groups, principals, school leaders, and teachers are invited to accompany their students to the stage as each group is called. Our first group is First in Math. It's an online platform that challenges students to use strategic thinking and problem-solving skills to solve a variety of problems. Participating in dozens of games at each grade level, Clayton County Elementary students compete against students around the world by solving as many problems as they can throughout the year to earn stickers. At the end of the competition period, Clayton County had 34 students ranked in the top 100 in the state in First in Math, as well as having 62 teachers ranked in the top 100 as well. The first group we recognize tonight is our kindergarten through second grade students. If they would please come forward and join the board. And so we'll do the photo opportunity with this group of students. We will excuse the students, but we'll probably ask the principals to hang around because our next group includes students representing grades 3rd through 5th. Our next group will be 3rd through 5th graders. If you would please come forward and join the board for the photo opportunity. What was that? Was that everything? And again, please note the names of all of these students who are being recognized are up on the board. We do have some special students too. Thank you. Now, it wouldn't be a math competition if people didn't win special awards, and we've got 5 students that we'd like to give special recognition to tonight for finishing in the top 10 across the state of Georgia in the First in Math competition at their grade level. Our first student is Huey Blake of Lee Street Elementary, who, competing as a fourth grader, finished at number 10 in the state of Georgia. And we'll ask Huey to stay up on stage while we call the other individuals that we're going to honor. He also finished number 79th and the fourth grade level across the nation. Next, competing as a third grader, Alex Trong of Morrow Elementary School finished number 7 in the state of Georgia on the third grade level and number 63 in the nation. Our next top 10 finisher, Matthew Hollis, Point South Elementary School, who, competing as a second grader, finished number 5 in the state of Georgia on the second grade level and number 56 in the nation. And as special as these three students are, we've got a couple here that kind of are getting a little extra attention, especially from the folks with First in Math. Finishing number 3 in the second grade in the state of Georgia and number 47 on the second grade in the United States, from East Clayton Elementary School, Zacharias Tollefree. And one of the mathematics teachers has a special certificate for him. Bring that way. And our other special winner, finishing number 2 on the fourth grade level in the state of Georgia and number 21 on the fourth grade level in the United States, Johnny Garcia Sanchez, Kilpatrick Elementary. And I thank the students. It is our distinct honor to recognize 5 teachers for finishing in the top 20 statewide in First in Math. Please come forward as you hear your name called. Tiffany Peck, Kilpatrick, finishing number 17. Talencia Stevens, East Clayton Elementary School, finishing number 13. Cherry Ann James, Morrow Elementary School, finishing number 19. Diane Drake, Kilpatrick Elementary School, finishing number 8. And our top finisher from Marshall Elementary School, Kendra Ori, finishing number 7. Thank you, teachers. And you know, we've got 3 schools that are in on the act. They're all elementary schools who have finished at the top based on their students' performances. Would the principals or school leadership please come forward to be recognized? Number 3, East Clayton Elementary School. In second place, Kilpatrick Elementary School. And with an outstanding performance, number 1, Marshall Elementary School. And while they're lining up for these photographs with the students who are here to be honored for Challenge 24, please line up along the wall. Challenge 24 is a math competition that challenges participants to use arithmetic operations such as adding, subtraction, multiplication, and division on 4 given numbers to reach a target number, which is 24. Participants can only use each number once and must use all 4 numbers. The competition often consists of multiple rounds with increasingly difficult sets of numbers. It's a fun and engaging way for students to sharpen their mental math skills and problem-solving abilities. Our first group that we recognize tonight has students in all elementary grades. Please come forward. I'm going to ask the people on stage to leave to go ahead and leave. Yes, that's good. Okay. Because our next group of students represents middle and high school grades. And if they would come to the stage to join the board. Yeah, we do. There are 8 schools who have finished at the top for their respective grade levels. We ask the principals and/or representatives of these schools to please come forward to be recognized. In the elementary category, number 3, Morrow Elementary. In second place, Michelle Obama STEM Academy. And in first place, Northcutt Elementary. For the middle schools, in third place, Elite Scholars Academy. In second place, Morrow Middle. And in first place, Adamson Middle. And for the high schools, in second place, Morrow High School. And in first place, Elite Scholars Academy. As we are setting up this photograph, I'm going to ask those students that are here to be honored in Math Art Design Challenge and those who are being honored for Who's Got Game to please line up along the wall. Thank you. I'm going to somewhat shake up this a little bit because I think these two competitions are very close to each other. And so I'm going to ask that all students that are being recognized for Math Art Design Challenge and for Who's Got Game should come to the stage at the same time. The Math Art Challenge is open to students who want to apply their mathematical problem solving and design skills to create original games or art. Students must use art to visualize mathematical structures, engage others in mathematical conversations, or use mathematical structures to create artworks. Our groups include students in elementary grades as well as students in middle and high school grades, so they should be coming forward to the stage at this time. Who's Got Game? Like the math art competition, Who's Got Games requires students to apply their problem-solving math skills and or teach mathematics while also addressing a social issue. We are recognizing students in this competition at all grade levels. So please come forward. I can go that way. For the final group in our mathematics recognitions, I would like to ask, I can ask Ms. Ratcliffe and Dr. Johnson that they're excused from the stage because our next group is high school only. And also Mr. Farmer. Would those students who are here to be honored for M3 MathWorks please come to the stage? Now in its 19th year, M3 Challenge spotlights applied mathematics and technical computing as powerful problem-solving tools and viable, exciting professions, and attracts the participation of thousands of students. Participants work in small teams, committing 14 consecutive hours on the designated challenge weekend to devise a solution to a real-world problem using mathematical modeling. The students, as I said, that we recognize tonight are from high school levels only. I'd like for Dr. Colbert, Mr. Manning to please remain on stage along with Dr. Guiney. And Dr. Young, you're excused. I would also ask Mr. Gary Townsend, Dr. Shadrack Barbara, principal at Mundy's Mill High School, and Ms. Kimberly Grant, principal at Mount Zion High School, to please join us on stage. Tonight, we honor two very special young people. Earlier this year, the Georgia High School Association held its state championships in the events of track and field. Would Matthew Strickland and Damia Player please come to the stage? No, I did not know that. He's also an All-American. Okay. And because of what he did, track and field. Okay. Damia Plaire, while competing as a sophomore for Mount Zion High School, competed in the 4A State Track and Field Championships. We are proud to recognize the fact that she won the high jump competition with a leap of 5 feet, 2 inches tall. Our other state champion is Matthew Strickland. While competing as a senior for Mundiesville High School, he competed in the 6A State Track and Field Championships. We are proud to recognize that this recent graduate of our district won the title in the 400-meter dash in a time of 47.83 seconds. Two things should be added. It should be noted that he defeated another sprinter from Clayton County Public Schools in the person of Arlen Epps of Forest Park High School by less than half a second. It should also be noted that this feat has earned the title of All-American for Matthew Strickland. Thank you. Thank you, guys. It is my pleasure to invite to the stage Dr. Douglas Hendricks and Dr. Ralph Simpson. We're done. I'm going to ask a group of uniformed officers if they would please stand. They are sitting down front in the audience. And they're going to be coming to the stage in just a very few moments. In 2013, based upon a need to ensure for a safe school environment, Clayton County Public Schools established the Department of Safety and Security. The 2013-14 school year was the Department of Safety and Security's inaugural year of operation. There are currently 13 staff members who have been with the department since its inception. Tonight, we give special recognition to this baker's dozen. Please come to the stage as I call your name. Chief of Safety and Security, Dr. Raynard Walker. Lieutenant Derek McClendon. Sergeant Danielle Faust. Okay. Sergeant Karen Henry. Sergeant Isaac Britt. Sergeant Juan Warner. Investigator Jamila Rimmert. Officer Nokoya Davis. Officer Pamela Green. Officer Albert Rucker. Officer Matthew Lowe. Officer Jason Seda. Campus Security Officer Clarence Wyatt. It is a special opportunity when one celebrates the 10th anniversary, and we wish congratulations to these outstanding employees, and we thank them for their commitment and service to Clayton County Public Schools. Let us also congratulate the Department of Safety and Security for achieving this 10-year milestone. It is now my pleasure to hand the microphone over to Ms. Jessie Goree, who will give special. You want me to read it? Okay. You want me to get it?
I will take it for just a moment. I'll take it for just a moment. I sure will, because we have a very special individual in the house. We can say really a house that she almost built. And that is the Honorable Valencia Seay, Senator from District 34. Can you please come to the stage? I'll let you do it, Mr.
Okay. Yes, ma'am. Excuse me. I have to get to the light. A proclamation recognizing the Honorable Senator Valencia Seay. The Clayton County Board of Education takes great pride in honoring the Honorable Senator Valencia Seay upon her retirement from the Georgia State Senate, celebrating a career of outstanding service and extraordinary accomplishment as an elected official serving the people of Clayton County. Whereas, born in Atlanta, Georgia in 1953, the Honorable Senator Valencia Seay has been an enthusiastic and devoted supporter of Clayton County Public Schools, its staff, its families, and the communities that it serves. Whereas the Honorable Senator Valencia Seay studied at DeKalb College, Clayton State University, and the Fleming Fellows Leadership Institute. And whereas the Honorable Senator Valencia Seay spent 22 years in banking, retiring as an assistant vice president at Wachovia Bank. She then established her own business, Seay and Associates, serving as president and chief executive officer. And whereas the Honorable Senator Valencia Seay entered political life in 1993, running for and winning a seat on the Clayton County Board of Education, becoming the first African American to serve as a board member, where she spent numerous years as the board's vice chair. And whereas in the year 2000, the Honorable Senator Valencia Seay won the Democratic primary and the general election for a seat in the Georgia House of Representatives, serving one term in office. And whereas in the year of 2002, the Honorable Senator Valencia Seay sought higher elective office, running for and winning the District 34 seat in the Georgia State Senate, a seat representing parts of Clayton and Fayette County, being sworn in 2003. And whereas in 10 re-election bids for the District 34 seat in the Georgia State Senate, the Honorable Senator Valencia Seay has faced opposition in the general election only 3 times, winning each of those contested elections with an average of more than 87% of the vote. And whereas throughout her tenure, the Honorable Senator Valencia Seay has been a prominent member of the Appropriations, Ethics, Government Oversight, Public Safety, and Science and Technology Committees. And whereas the Honorable Senator Valencia Seay is admired by her colleagues, associates, and constituents for her close involvement with the various civic groups, including the NAACP, the National Council of Negro Women, the Georgia Association of Black Elected Officials, the National Organization of Women Legislators, Women in Government, the Women's Legislative Caucus, and the Georgia Legislative Black Caucus. And whereas the Honorable Senator Valencia Seay can be proud of the tremendous impact she has had throughout Clayton County Public Schools, for her legacy will continue to resonate within the minds of students, parents, teachers, and alumni. She has enriched our school district and our entire county with her service, and she is most worthy of our esteem and appreciation. Now, therefore, be it known, the Clayton County Board of Education gratefully and respectfully honors the Honorable Senator Valencia Seay for her enduring service, leadership, and commitment to the families of Clayton County, and wishes her continued success and happiness throughout her retirement. Presented the third day of June in the year 2024.
Here is a proclamation from the Clayton County Board of Education, signed by everyone. And we're going to take a privileged moment here. I'm sure that every board member and the superintendent would like to have an individual picture with Senator Seay. So can you make that happen for us, Mr. Shields? Okay, so I'll get a picture with her. Is that Wendy? You want to come on up? Okay. All right. Superintendent. It's right here. Here is Senator Seay's daughter-in-law. She is the assistant principal at Hawthorne Elementary School. And this is a grandson here, right? Yes. Yes. The youngest, you the one that's got her keys to the car now? Oh, right. Okay. All right, District 1. Oh, Ronald Dawson. Oh, is it? Is your husband back there? Is he back there? Is he? He always makes it up. I don't know. Yeah, that's right. District 2. Thanks. District 4. You're up. D5. 7.
I could be trying to sit down real quick.
All right, can everybody come back up the group? Come on, intern, you need to get up here. All right. Just time to do a group picture, come on. Right, there we go.
I'm here. On 3.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, thank you.
See me outside if you want me to.
Okay. All right, thank you.
You've been around 100 years like me.
Yes.
Now, we didn't get a picture with you.
Don't worry about that. Yes.
I need a picture.
Oh,
Don't call on the Lord when I don't want a picture. But it's the best one I know.
Thank you all.
our final section of board recognitions comes from board members themselves to members of the staff and community partners for their service to the board and board members and board activities in general during the past year. We would ask you to please come forward when you hear your name called. Our first recognition is for Officer Makeda Foltz of the Clayton School Resource Officer in Clayton County Public Schools, and it's presented by Victoria Williams. Board member Victoria Williams takes this opportunity to thank a member of the district security team for her support of Ms. Williams' outreach activities in District 4. She says that she has been seen going above and beyond, and we just wanted to say that we see you and we thank you. Okay. Thank you, Chief. We invite Will Dre Scandrath and Amanda Moore to come forward at this time. Board member Dr. Dee Haney takes this opportunity to thank the following individuals for their support of outreach activities in District 5. Also, Tay Julianne Brown. Please come forward. Mhm. Yeah.
I just want to make sure, okay?
Yeah.
'Cause
Okay.
all those other ones too.
For our next group, we invite the following individuals to the stage: Dr. Delphia Young, Dr. Alicia Dunn, Ms. Ramona Bivens, Dr. Katrina Thompson, Dr. Pamela Pitts, Angie Spikes from the U.S. Department of Student Health, also Karen Seay, June Ferguson, Maisha Evans, Cheryl Glass, Patricia Page, Living Old Harold, and Adrian Cortland. Would you all please come forward? Board member Joy Tellis Cooper takes this opportunity to thank the following individuals for their overall support of her outreach activities in District 8. So Pitts, you're supposed to get something. For our next group, on Thursday, March 28th, Clayton County Board of Education Chair Dr. Jessie Goree of District 3 hosted her third annual K-12 Girls Empowerment Conference in celebration of National Women's History Month at the Clayton County Public Schools Performing Arts Center and the Martha Ellen Stillwell School of the Arts. The event was open to female students from across the district, attracting more than 1,200 students and adults. Tonight, she wishes to express her appreciation to the people and the partners who made that special and to happen. Would the following individuals please come to the stage? Andrew P. Bussey, Pamela L. Wilkes, a special engagement specialist. Rethink Ed, Reginald Wilkes. Brown Financial Group Incorporated, AMGP. Carrie Cooper Charitable Foundation Incorporated. Sheila Henry Lee. Carla Carr, a student engagement specialist. Olivia Sullivan Fuller, another student engagement specialist. Clayton County Health District, Character Lab. Amy Harris and the Clayton County Public Schools Elementary Athletics Department. Ebony Brown. Dr. Katrina Thompson of the CCPS Office of Federal Programs. Dr. Alicia Dunn of the CCPS Department of Counseling, Enrollment, and Post-Secondary Readiness. Ms. Audrey Hamilton of CCPS Nutrition Services. Mr. Ed Blackwood and CCPS Facility Services. Ms. Denise Hall and the CCPS Department of Transportation. Dr. Angela Horson Collier of CCPS Student Services. Namaste. Lonnie, Mom, sorry. Namaste. Okay. Major Educational LLC. Net Planner. The Clayton County Public Schools Foundation, Incorporated. Winston A. Denmark. Brandy Harvey. Mr. Lonnie Smith. And the Atlanta Falcons cheerleaders and Dr. Chato Hendricks. I understand she will be represented by Dr. Hendricks. We have three more. Yes, ma'am. By the way, there was a bouquet of flowers that were given to Dr. Hendricks, I believe. They were given for Chato Hendricks by Ms. Williams, who wanted to thank her for all of her partnership and her ladies of four. We thank her. Our final three recognitions of the night, I will call them all to the stage to be recognized. For ongoing support, Clem Doyle. Attorney to the board. For as a recipient of a community service and award recipient, Mr. John Crane. Also a community award recipient, Ms. Samantha Fuentes Horta.
We have one more person, one very special person that holds the Board of Education together. On behalf of the Clayton County Board of Education, this is presented to Ms. Kim Blackwood. Our board liaison, in appreciation for your continued service and support of the Board of Education, Jesse Gorey Chair, Benjamin Straker Vice Chair, Ms. Mary Baker, Ms. Jasmine Bowles, Mr. Mark Christmas, Ms. Deatrice D. Haney, Ms. Sabrina Hill, Ms. Joy Tillis Cooper, Ms. Victoria Williams, and the Superintendent, Dr. Anthony W. Smith, on June 3rd, 2024. Here you go. Thank you for all that you do. Flowers and a little gift in there. Don't lose it, okay? All right. It's not Chick-fil-A. Get in the middle. Come on in. Okay. Thank you all. All right, Mr. White, where'd you go to? We need the microphone over there. All right, at this time, we are going to continue with our agenda. We'll start with the ethics statement, which says, in accordance with Board Policy BH, it is the duty of every board member to avoid both conflicts of interest and appearances of such conflicts. Does any board member have any known conflict of interest or appearance of such conflict with respect to any matter scheduled to come before the board at this meeting or appearing at our proposed agenda? If so, please identify the conflict or appearance of such conflict and refrain from participation in the matter involved. The next item on the agenda is public participation. The Clayton County Board of Education welcomes public participation and will hear any interested individual pursuant to the guidelines outlined in the policy BCBI. Therefore, at the beginning of each of our monthly regular business meetings, we will allow participation. Members of the public wishing to speak must call the board secretary or sign up prior to the meeting. 10 speakers will be allowed to speak for 3 minutes each at our meeting. Speakers must identify themselves and topics before speaking. Speakers may, my computer may provide written copies of their concerns to the board. Groups are asked to designate a single spokesperson. Board members will not respond to comments from the speakers. The chairperson may respond as appropriate and direct speakers to the appropriate staff member for assistance. Issues requiring possible action by the board may be added to a future agenda. Issues that may need to be addressed by the administration will be duly noted, and we do not speak about student matters. Abusive language and our personal attacks will not be permitted and shall promptly be ruled out of order by the chairperson. So at all times, you must adhere to the civility policy. So we have a 30-minute time limit. We have 5 individuals who have signed. When I call your name, you can come to the podium, and you have 3 minutes. Please identify yourself. Thank you. The first name I have on the list is Joy Shylin Gay. Is that person present? Gay. First name spelled Joyhshilен, last name Gay. Okay. The second individual is Estelina Scott. Third person, Micah Dale. Okay.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, board members, Dr. Smith, all other stakeholders. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you all tonight. My name is Micah Dale, and I serve the students of Morrow Elementary School as the Student Engagement Specialist. I grew up in Clayton County. I attended Suter Elementary from kindergarten, then I went on to Mundy's Mill Middle, and then Jonesboro High. After graduation, I attended Georgia Institute of Technology, and I lived in Atlanta for over a decade. But about 3 years ago, my wife and I felt led to move back down to Jonesboro with our then 18-month-old son. We were concerned about the state of Atlanta public schools, and I have deep roots and connections to CCPS. Around that time, the Student Engagement Specialist program was being expanded from the initial pilot program into all schools. With my education and background, and please understand that I do not say this to brag, I was previously making about twice what the SES position pays. But I answer to someone higher than my bank account, and he made very clear that I was being called to this position. Many of you probably don't know exactly what we do. This is understandable, as it's a bit different at each school, and we wear many hats. But in my view, our most important function is to provide support to specific students that seriously need that extra help, to fill in the cracks and minimize the number of students that would otherwise slip through. Most of my caseload are currently growing up without a father. Anyone who has looked at the statistics knows that the odds are stacked against them. Knowing this, I made the decision when I took this position that all my students would know one thing beyond a shadow of a doubt after working with me, that they are loved. That doesn't mean by any means that I'm attempting to become their fathers, but it does mean I recognize the importance of feeling valued, not just for children, but especially for children. Sometimes loving a child means a sharp word of correction. After all, the one who loves us most is never above disciplining his children. But often it just means to provide them the opportunity to be heard, to assist them in altering their perspective if that's necessary, to shower them with love when they feel like nobody cares, to provide suggestions and support to parents to help beyond the classroom, to support their teachers and help them learn how best to reach and to teach these students. The greatest success for me is when a child I work with goes from dreading school daily to being disappointed when summer break approaches, recognizing that we won't see each other for a couple months. My current understanding is that you all are planning to maintain the position for another year, and for that I'm grateful. But these kids need this support beyond next year. At the end of the day, I'm not here speaking to you because I personally need this position. I'm not up here because I need the paycheck. I'm up here because I believe it is exceedingly important to this community and so many of these kids that this position remains in place in our schools. I humbly implore you to consider.
Thank you. All right, the next person on the list is Dr. Adrian Farley.
Good evening, board members, and good evening, everyone. My concern that I definitely want us to focus on is behavior, because that seems to be the most important thing that is happening in our schools. I would like for us to definitely come up with a better guidelines in terms of what's a major behavior, what's minor behavior, because at the end of the day, we have kids that need that support, as the young man was just talking about, as a student engagement specialist. And because we as teachers are we're in these trenches, and these kids are volatile. Some of these kids are excessive, whether it's elementary, middle, or high, and there are no consequences, because when we write them up, they don't get consequences. They come right back into the classroom to repeat the same behavior. So now I'm also asking is that we talked about SST chairs being able to be that buffer to help support the teachers and the EIP teachers to be able to take the data to help those kids with behaviors get the resources that they need. And because a lot of times academically, they are 3 or 4 grade levels behind. They can't read, they can't comprehend, they can't do math. So guess what? They're agitated because their peers in the school can do it and they can't. So the only way they know to do it is act out. So we got to cut down on this, because teachers should not be hit, spit on, kicked, nothing in the classroom when they come in the classroom every day to come in the trenches to teach 25 other kids that has going on. And so the final thing that I just definitely want to talk about is consistency. We have to be consistent across the board. We can't start off doing one thing 1 minute and then switch it in the middle of the year, do something else. That causes a lot of confusion. And so I just ask everybody to now only consider the SST chairs, but let's get some more behavioral specialists in the building. Let's get some more people that we can definitely team up with to help some of these parents, because I have seen parents come into my building and act a nut because their child is this, but then we're like, ma'am, we're trying to show you that your child is this way, and they don't want to hear it. So we need support too as teachers. We need that love as teachers, because every day we get up in here and we come in these trenches and do this work like with our eyes closed, and we do it because we love it, not because it's just a paycheck. We do it because we want Clayton County students to be successful in this life so they can go forth and continue to sow it back to the generation that's coming up towards us next. So thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Our last speaker is Maika Smoot.
Good evening, Dr. Goree, Dr. Smith, and the board and community members. I'm here to speak about the proposed budget and actually the budget process. So we've gone to the Clayton County Education Association and our members, we've attended the budget meetings, and we've seen the different compensation packages that have come forth, and we have We posed different questions and concerns. And my concern is that when you come to a hearing and you have concerns and you have questions, but they're not addressed. So what is the purpose of the budget hearing if it seems to be just about compliance? Because if we're not going to give the community the opportunity to present concerns and have those concerns addressed, then what are we doing? One thing that I will give the board, and I thank the board for, is sending, going back, having the district go back and bring forth additional compensation. I went to the budget meeting today, and it's a start. I have a child that is in Clayton County Public Schools. I want my baby to have a highly qualified teacher. I want my baby to have a teacher that is not on a waiver, not trying to pass the gates, but also to have teachers that aren't trying to go out the door, who know that this is somewhere where they want to be. We have to be able to retain our teachers. Part of that is looking at the salary scale. Dr. Goree, I thank you for bringing that up, because we do need to look at our salary scale, and we need to make those steps more competitive. When we think about this new proposed attendance incentive, I think that it's a good idea in theory. However, there are some pieces that need to be maybe looked at again. Because as a single mother, my child may be sick and I may need to take off. That doesn't mean that I'm not committed to my job and that I'm not committed to my profession. Life happens. And when life happens, we have to adjust to life. That's very different from a teacher who has decided that her principal teed her off yesterday and she's not coming in today. And that's very different from a teacher who has decided that I don't really work on Thursdays. And I think that those things need to be addressed at the building level, and that principals need to address those issues with their particular staff. When we're looking at trying to retain teachers and attract teachers at Clayton County, it's not always about the money. When you're happy where you work, you're not really thinking about the money so much. And that's what we have.
Ms. Smoot, thank you for your comments. Excuse me, I want to address a couple of things that you mentioned. You asked, what is the process? Why do we have a hearing? A hearing is to hear from you. It's for you to bring suggestions. What ends up happening is questions. You come to question. And our questions that were sent to the board and to the superintendent were answered. We have a budget committee group. Each of the board members sitting here has members that they send to the committee meetings. And generally, some of those people that are appointed by our board members don't end up going to the meetings to give input. But we would be more than happy to make you a part of the budget committee, and so that you can give input based on the fact that you are a member of the Clayton County Teachers Association. So you would be able to give input. If we have page members, we're open to suggestion. So we definitely want you to be involved in the process, which is the reason why this morning, when we had the hearing and we didn't get 10 people to sign up, I stayed so that I could hear your concerns. Again, this evening, we have public participation, which you can come and voice your concerns, but only 3 people spoke. And we have the opportunity to sit here for 30 minutes to listen to you. So that's one of the problems when we have people that have concerns and they voice them very well on Facebook, but they won't come before the board and voice those same concerns. But I hear you, and there are things that we need to work on. That is the reason why we postponed the voting on the budget. And we're here to listen to the new proposal, and the board will decide whether or not More than likely, we're not voting tonight, but we will be voting soon. But we are here to listen to your concerns, and I thank everyone that came to speak. The only way that you will get what you want is people need to take the initiative to stand up and speak out and give us suggestions for what will help you. And we thank all of our teachers for their service and all employees of Clayton County Public Schools. We greatly appreciate you. So at this time, I'm going to move on to the next item on the agenda, which are the executive session recommendations, and I will turn it over to Dr. Smith. I'm sorry. No, I see executive session recommendations. Is that not what's on the agenda?
Good evening, Madam Chair, Mr. Vice Chair, members of the board, colleagues, and community members. Board members, I would like for you to consider for the appointment of principal at Lovejoy High School, Mr. Kareem Sanders.
Board members, the superintendent has recommended Mr. Green Sanders as the principal of Lovejoy High School. I need a motion. Ms. Baker?
Madam Chair, I move that we accept the superintendent's recommendation for Mr. Kareem Sanders as the principal of Lovejoy High School.
I need a second. Ms. Bowles?
Second.
All right, it has been moved and properly second that we accept the superintendent's recommendation of Mr. Kareem Sanders as principal of Lovejoy High School. Please hold your hand up for the vote. And it is unanimous.
Thank you, board members. Mr. Sanders, if you're present, please stand and be recognized. Congratulations, sir. Thank
Before you move on, Mr. Sanders, don't leave. The board would like to get a picture with all of the recommendations this evening. So please stay for a picture. Go ahead. Dr. Smith.
Thank you, board members, for your support of that position. Also, I would like for the board to consider for the position of Director of Second Language Learning, Dr. Cynthia James.
Board members, the superintendent has recommended Dr. Cynthia James as the Director of Secondary Language Learning. I need a motion for that recommendation. Ms. Tillis Cooper.
I move that we accept the recommendation from our superintendent for Dr. Cynthia James as the Director of Secondary Language.
All right, I need a second. Mr. Straker.
I second the motion, Madam Chair.
All right, it's been moved and properly second that we accept the superintendent's recommendation for the Director of Secondary Language Learning. All in favor, please raise your hand. All right, any opposition? And one abstention. So 8 in favor, 1 abstention.
Dr. James, if you're present, please stand and be recognized. Congratulations. Please stick around for a photo. Thank you, board members. I would like for the board to also support the recommendation for Equity and Compliance Personnel Review Officer, Mr. Charles Michael House.
Board members, we need a motion for the superintendent's recommendation of Mr. Charles Michael House as the Equity and Compliance Personnel Review Officer. I need a motion, and I'm going to make that motion for Mr. Charles Michael House. I need a second.
I second,
All
Madam
right,
Chair.
it's been moved and properly second that we accept the superintendent's recommendation. Please vote, please. All right, it is a unanimous vote.
Thank you, board members. Mr. House, if you're present, please stand and be recognized, sir. Congratulations. Stick around for a photo if you don't mind, sir. Thank you, board members. I would like for the board to also consider the position for Coordinator of School Nutrition for Ms. Keeza Hunt.
Board members, we need a motion for the superintendent's recommendation of as coordinator of school nutrition, Ms. Keeza Hunt. Ms.
I move that we accept the superintendent's recommendation for Ms. Keeza Hunt.
Okay, I need a second. Ms.
I
Baker.
second.
It's been moved and properly second that we accept the superintendent's recommendation for the coordinator of school nutrition. Please raise your hands for the vote. And it is a unanimous vote.
Thank you, board members. Ms. Hunt, if you're present, please stand and be recognized. Congratulations. Please stick around for a photo. Thank you, board members. One more recommendation. I would like for the board to consider for the position of coordinator of position control, Ms. Rosa Traywick.
Board members, we need a motion for the position of coordinator of position control. The recommendation is Ms. Rosa Traywick.
Madam Chair, I ask that we accept the recommendation of the superintendent for Ms. Rosa Traywick as coordinator position control.
Thank you. And I will second that motion. Please show your hands for the vote. Okay, and it is a unanimous vote.
Thank you, board members. Ms. Traywick, if you're present, please stand and be recognized. Congratulations. And I guess we can all come up for a photo. Is that right, Madam Chair?
Yes.
No, it's already been.
All right, the next item on the agenda are the announcements.
And the
Good evening, Madam Chair, board members, district administrators, and citizens of Clayton County. My name is Rain Walker, and I am a rising senior at Lovejoy High School.
My name is Todd Poe Jr., and I am a member of the Mount Zion High School class of 2024 and a rising freshman at Morehouse College. We have served a portion of the 2023-2024 school year as Clayton County Board of Education interns. Wednesday will serve as a preview for the community school hubs. We will offer our internal and external stakeholders a comprehensive range of resources. The vision is to create an outdoor/indoor research center where our families can engage with partners and grocery shops. Participants will receive support in the areas of housing, healthcare, workforce development, academic resources, and food.
The district will be closed in observance of Juneteenth on Wednesday, June 19th. All schools and offices will return to their existing schedules of operation on Thursday, June 20th. The June board work session and regular meeting is scheduled for Monday, June 24th at 5 p.m. During that meeting, which will be held in the boardroom at the district's administration complex, items will be presented and voted on. Please note that a regular board meeting will be scheduled in July only if necessary.
The district will be closed in observance of summer break on Monday, July 1st through Friday, July 5th. All schools and offices will return to their existing schedules of operation on Monday, July 8th. The July board work session is scheduled for Monday, July 29th at 5 o'clock p.m. Unless otherwise announced, this meeting will be held in the boardroom of the district's administration complex.
Madam Chair, this concludes tonight's announcements. Have a great summer.
We are so proud of our interns. We really are. All right, next on the agenda is the superintendent's update.
Madam Chair, members of the board, I would like for our CFO, Ms. Ramona Bivens, to come forward to do the presentation for our budget.
You have a clicker.
She would do it for me? Okay, thank you. Good evening, Madam Chair, Mr. Vice Chair, members of the board, Superintendent Dr. Smith, members of the colleagues, and members of the community and stakeholders. This evening, I will be presenting an updated tentative recommended budget. Can you go to the next slide, please? So this budget addresses all five of the superintendent's priorities: cultivating a school safety culture, promoting a positive working environment, increasing academic achievement, maintaining financial stability and sustainability, strengthening the organizational structure, and enhancing infrastructure and new facilities. The district operates through 4 funds. We have the general operating fund, which is the largest of the funds. This is where we budget and spend our primary day-to-day operations of the district. We have special revenue funds. This is where we account for all of our grants and any other special revenues that we may receive that are legally restricted for specific expenditures. We also have our capital projects fund. This is where we pay for all of our capital needs, building new buildings, renovations, land purchases, purchasing buses, things of that nature. And then our enterprise funds, these are self-supporting entities. We have athletics and school nutrition, as well as our print shop. So there should be self-sustaining. They generate revenue to cover their expenditures. This slide shows how the general fund is spent. We spend the majority of that. 88% of our budget is used for salaries and benefits for all of the employees that you see here, with the remainder of those funds being used for our operating expenses, such as textbooks, supplies, utilities, fuel for transportation, and any other services that the district may need. The next few slides, we're going to discuss the budget highlights with proposed changes that have been made since we introduced the budget last week at the first public hearing. So what you're going to see on these slides, if it's highlighted in yellow, these are the new items that we're presenting. So on the first slide, we're going to discuss the certified personnel. We initially had included $2,500, which is being provided by the state.
Dr. Smith would like to add $500 to that to make it a total $3,000 increase, plus a step increase for those employees. We also included the $1,500 loyalty incentive that will be paid at the end of August of this year, and an attendance incentive. So this, you can earn up to $2,500 for the full year. And on this one, if you miss 0 days, you have 100% attendance, you would earn $1,250 or reward each semester. If you miss 1 day, it goes down to $1,000. If you miss 2 days each semester, $750. 3 days is $500. 4 days is $250. Also, a new initiative is a spring break appreciation incentive for $500. And what we also want to do is offer an additional $1,000 salary increase to those individuals paid on the certified pay scale. This would be done in January of 2025. And once we do all of these enhancements for the salary increases alone, depending on where an employee falls on the salary schedule, their salary would increase anywhere from 4 to 8%. If you add the incentives that I just mentioned to that, that increase comes to 10 to 14%, again, depending on where they fall on the salary schedule. One thing that I do want to note is on the attendance incentive, there are some absences that will not go against the employee. That would be jury duty, if they're summoned to jury duty or have a court summons. If they have military duty, that will not count against them, as well as bereavement days for immediate family members. Next slide. This one discusses the classified personnel. The next two will. This first one is for bus drivers and school nutrition workers. They will be receiving a 4.1% increase. They will also be eligible for the loyalty incentive of $1,500 to be paid in August. They will also be eligible for the attendance incentive that I just described with the same guidelines, and as well as the spring break appreciation incentive of $500 that will be paid at spring break. And the final group of classified personnel will be those at pay grades 29 and below. They will all receive a step increase, which is equivalent to a 3% increase, as well as the attendance incentive, the loyalty incentive for all classified, and then the spring break incentive for those 29 and below at $500 at spring break. In addition to that, the state is providing a $1,000 salary supplement for custodians that would be included in their salary. This is a one-year supplement by the state. I spoke with someone at the State Department to get some more information, and they said it is just for 1 year, and that future funding would be dependent upon if the state has the funding for it. Next slide. Thank you. Some other items included in this budget is adding TRS for maintenance personnel. Our teacher retirement employer contribution is increasing from 19.98% to 20.78%. Our certified health insurance is increasing from $18,960 to $21,290. However, that is state funded for all the certified people that's on our CPI report that we report in the fall. Our classified health insurance, however, is district funded, and that is increasing again from $12,840 to $18,150. Also included in this are some ESSER-funded positions, the student engagement specialist, which we've discussed before. We have some positions for DES, which 3 ESOL instructional specialists, a data clerk, a social worker, an MTSS lead, 2 student behavioral health specialists, as well as a homeless ed specialist. And then for teaching and learning, we have 11 academic coaches, 5 early literacy intervention positions to ensure that we're in compliance with the new state mandate for dyslexia. That bill was passed during this most recent legislation and signed by the governor. And then we're also offering a $3,000 per year supplement for our high-needs special ed parapros. These are the parapros that are in the classroom with those students that have high needs with changing diapers, things of that nature. And then a homeless position as well. Next, I want to, talk about our tax digest. This slide shows a comparison from last year's property values to this current year's most recently preliminary digest. So these figures could change based on the appeals that come in. We should get a final digest closer to the end of this month. And as you can see, property taxes not property taxes, but property values did increase from last year. Residential increased from 12.6 billion to 13.8 billion. And our net digest, as you see, after we applied the exemptions, went from 11.2 billion to 12.6 billion. That's a $1.4 billion increase. We are proposing to maintain the millage rate at 19.6 mills. That would generate $248 million. However, we only use a collection rate. We try to leave some room in there because we know all people may not be able to pay their taxes. We have some delinquencies. So we're using a 99.5% collection rate and projecting $246 million in collections. This slide, we wanted to show how we compare to other districts in the metro Atlanta area when it comes to our property values and the value of one meal is, and this is, that we have to spend on our expenditures. So as you can see, Clayton County, and this is for 2023 data, as this was what was available online for all districts. Everyone have not put out their 2024 data yet. For Clayton County, our net digest value last year was 11.3 billion, and the value of one meal that would generate $11.3 million. If you look at the Atlantas, the Cobbs, the Cabs, you see they're 39, 40, 48 billion. Their one meal generates 48.5 million in Atlanta. That's 4 times what our one meal would generate. Cobb County's generates 40.2 million, DeKalb 39 million, Fulton is at 46.7, Gwinnett is at 54, Henry is at 12.5, and Fayette was at 6.6. Again, I don't have the data for this year, but we do have our data, which is the 2024 preliminary. It shows us at 12.6 billion net digest value. That would generate $12.6 million. Even with the increase in the property values, we're still way below the Atlantas, the Fultons, the Cobbs, the Gwinnett's. So I just wanted to kind of show that because that kind of gives some perspective on how much money we have to spend compared to what other districts have as well. Next slide, please. So the final recommended budget that Dr. Smith would like to recommend for the board to approve over the next few weeks. The summary of what's been added above what we have initially discussed over the past month or so is an additional $500 for certified staff. That's approximately $2.3 million. The attendance incentive is approximately $8.4 million. The spring break appreciation incentive is $3 million. So the total immediate cost would be $13.7 or $13.8 million if we round up. The attendance incentive and the spring break incentive, we're recommending a one-time use of fund balance for that. And the additional $500 for certified staff, we have some additional revenues that can cover that. At the mid-year, we're recommending coming back to the board to do a $1,000 increase to the certified pay scale. The full-year cost of that is $4.6 million. However, for a half a year, if we implement it in January, it'd be $2.3 million. We have talked about a mid-year adjustment from the state and how staff has been working on getting the scheduling where we can maximize our QBE earnings. And after speaking with staff again late last week, they were advised that we have the potential that we should get more than the $4.5 million that we've been talking about in the past. So we could cover that increase with that mid-year adjustment, as well as replenish the $3.8 million back to fund balance that we previously spoke of 3 months ago. So this shows the revised tentative approval budget to what it was before, what we recommended. And so we're recommending, again, we was projected beginning fund balance of $180 million. Our projected revenues would increase by $2,345,803 to $682,229,267. Our projected expenditures would increase by $13,799,476 for a total $714,490,480.
That would leave us with expenditures exceeding revenues by 32,261,213, leaving us projected ending fund balance at June 30, 2025 of $147.7 million. And that is about it's $11.4 million, $11.4 million more than what we initially had projected using. This slide shows our revenue by source. So we're showing a $22 million increase in local property taxes due to the increase in our property values. Again, we're leaving the millage rate at 19.6 mils. Our other local sources increasing by $1.3 million. The majority of that is with our interest earnings because interest rates have been extremely higher than they have been in the past. In the past, we rarely earned any interest. And if you recall, during some of the meetings when we talked about how our local revenue this year had significantly increased our projections, it was because we had higher earnings in our interest earnings in our funds in our investment accounts. And then in the federal funding, 690,000, and then other general fund grants. These are state grants of $7 million. So we're projecting $682,229,267. That's an increase of $40.5 million. Next slide, please. This just shows a picture of how our revenue is received. And as you can see, the largest pot of money that we receive is 59.16%, and that's our state funding, and followed by local property tax at 36% of our total revenue. This shows the proposed budget by function, with its instruction, people services, general admin, school admin, maintenance operations, student transportation. And as you can see, the largest function, largest expenses that we have is in instruction, which is our core business at $429 million of the $714 million. And this slide again shows that on the instruction, 60.8% of our budget is being spent in the area of direct classroom instruction. This shows the expenditures by object. And again, as I stated earlier, 88% of our budget is in salaries and benefits, and that is shown here. $432 million is in salaries with $191.9 in benefits. And then the remainder for the operating supplies that I spoke of earlier to give us a total of $714 million. And the next slide shows again just a picture of how these funds are expended, with salaries at 60.4% and benefits at 26.87%. So when the board adopts the budget, they will be adopting a total budget of all funds. So this slide shows the revenue of all funds here. And we have a total revenue of funds available, which includes fund balance of $1.5 billion in our total revenue available. And on the last slide, it shows the expenditures by function for all funds. And that is the $1.3 billion. So $1,314,221,674. So that is what we will be asking the board to adopt. We've had our first public hearing last Tuesday. The second public hearing was held this morning at 11 a.m. And then we would need to set a date for the final adoption. We have to have it done by June 30th. So we can do it at the next work session on June 24th, or if the board would like to have a special call meeting to adopt it between now and then, that's at the board's purview. We will also have to have, if required, millage rate public hearings in July. Those dates are to be determined, with the final millage rate adoption in late July or early August. And Dr. Smith, that's all I have to give on the update for the proposed budget.
Thank you, Ms. Bivens. Board members, as you can see, that we think that we've kind of hit on all of the concerns that have been shared at the hearings. As Ms. Smoot mentioned in her comments, as a start, we recognize that that our teachers' salaries are not as competitive as we would like. We feel like year after year, if we keep building on it, we'll get there in just a couple of so years. We feel like this is a very comprehensive compensation package. We would like for all of the funding to go towards salaries, but we don't know how our financial forecasting is going to look just yet, so we can't commit until we continue to see how our digest is beginning to increase. But we're going to make a commitment that we're going to continue to look at improving our salaries of our teachers, our hardworking, dedicated educators, to be more competitive in the Metro Atlanta area. But as you can see, most individuals will receive eventually a raise that will speak to $4,000 to $5,000. Also, along the way, we're going to show appreciation for their service at the beginning of the year with a $1,500 appreciation bonus. And we give the most employees an opportunity to earn another $1,250 at the end of the first semester. We'll also show our appreciation at spring break as folks go on that very needed spring break with a $500 check, and also the opportunity to earn up to another $1,250 at the end of the year to start your summer break. So we feel like our compensation package is way up there. Maybe not as competitive as the district over in the city. But we feel like we've done a robust job at showing our appreciation for all of our staff members. So that is our budget that we would like for the board members to consider adopting.
Do we have discussion?
I have two questions.
Go ahead.
Ms. Vivens, thank you for your presentation tonight. My first question is on slide 16. And there are questions about basically you helping me read the document, helping me understand.
Sure.
At the bottom, it says there's a variance of 11.4 million between the tentative and the revised tentative.
Yes, ma'am.
So does that mean we are spending, that the new one is 11.4 more or less?
So yes, so that's a great question. We are proposing to spend an additional $11.4 million of fund balance. So before, we were going to use $20.8 million in the previous presentation from last week.
And now 32.
32, yes, ma'am. That's the difference of 11,453,673.
Okay. And okay, so slide 19.
Okay.
It says total proposed expenditures from last year were about 641.7 mil.
Yes, ma'am.
And then next year, 714.4 million, which this slide indicates a $72.7 million variance. And so that's what we're spending is 72.7 more. But we've only planned to budget 11.4. I'm having a hard time.
Okay.
I'd love your support understanding these numbers.
So let's go back to slide 16.
Okay, thank you.
So if you looked at we have the first slide shows a projected beginning fund balance of $180 million on the tentative and the revised, correct? The projected revenue, if you see there, we previously had projected at 679.8. We have increased that by 2.3 to 682.2. On the total projected expenditures, it went from 700.6 to 714.4. The difference, so the first tentative budget, we had a variance of $20 million of our expenditures exceeded what we were collecting in revenue.
That's exactly the question I'm trying to get at, and I'm not understanding. And maybe you can teach me more offline if that's better. But what I'm trying to be sure of is that we're not planning to spend more than we are receiving.
So this shows that a deficit of $20 million for the first tentative, and then this one is a deficit of $32.2 million, which will reduce our fund balance by an additional $11 million.
Okay, and that's just something I wanted to be clear on. So we're planning to spend more than we're getting. We know it's going to come from the fund balance, and so again, I'm really excited about all that we're doing for our staff. That's not at all the thing I want to change. I just wanted to be clear that I'm reading that right.
Yes, ma'am. And this, again, this is a one-time use of fund balance. The incentives, all of those are coming from the fund balance, and that is because they are one-time hits to the fund balance and they're not recurring expenditures. So we won't have this every year.
Okay, and then my very last question, I'm really grateful for you answering these. On slide number 9, it talks about the ESSER funded positions,
Yes.
and then there's a bullet list.
Mhm.
Did you label that in this presentation ESSER funded positions, meaning we're keeping these people, but now they're coming from the general fund? Like, was it just a flag?
That is correct. These are the previously ESSER funded positions that would now be funded out of the general fund.
Okay, and that could explain part of
Yes.
why we're coming out so much of the general.
$5.5 million of that is for the SESs.
Right, but as this list shows, this impacts more than SESs regarding ESSER funded positions that we're
Correct.
choosing to extend.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Is
And
there,
as you can see, Ms. Bowles, our general fund balance, it's still more than 2 months of our operating expenses, which is required, is 3 months. So we still have a pretty healthy general fund balance.
do we have any other discussion? Okay, I want to discuss some of the, oh, I'm sorry. I didn't see your hand.
Okay, so not really a discussion, but a concern, because we heard some concerns from the community tonight about the SES positions. And what I fear and what I'm seeing in our budget is, if these are positions that are needed, they're saying that they're needed. Again, as I said at the board meeting before last week, what is our plan? Because I feel like we're just getting ready to approve a budget and we don't have, as you said earlier, a forecast, a plan for what's next, because we'll be at the same situation again with these positions that people are saying are critical within the school, but I still haven't heard a plan. And that is my concern with the budget and with this item being in the budget.
We saw the need to continue with the services of the SESs, but we did have a plan to transition those individuals to other positions, some in the classroom, some outside of the classroom. As the one of the members spoke about the discipline concerns, which is absolutely real, that we had a plan to transition some of those SES positions to another position that we can be able to sustain and still be able to attend to our disciplinary concerns. We can certainly talk more about how we're going to transition, but we do in fact have a plan with transitioning away from SESs. We've had one prior to us keeping them, and we have one in place as we move forward. And we'll be more than happy to go into depth with the board members more about that.
I can speak to the plan. The plan is that we're going to spend the fund balance money to keep them. And if we need
That's
to next
not
year,
the plan.
yes, it is. That's what we're doing today. That's what we're doing.
That's not the transition plan. That may be the plan to sustain this year.
Well, she didn't say either way. She said the plan, and she's talking about, my interpretation is, how are we paying for it? We're paying for it this year out of the fund balance, just as every other school district is doing. They are paying out of the fund balance to increase salaries for their teachers and employees throughout the school district. It's not like that we haven't done this before. We've had graduation coaches before. We generally add new personnel to the district, generally through grants. We have another grant that will be coming up next year. It will be math and science people. So people understand that when they get into those jobs, that the jobs may not last because they're grant funded. Then the board and the school district has to make a decision. Are you just going to sit with, I'm gonna just round up. Are we just gonna sit with $200 million in the bank and not use it just to say that, oh, we're not using anything out of the fund balance? Or are you going to invest your money in positions that will help your school district? That's what we're looking at.
Yeah, so Ms. Gorey,
I'm-
thank you for the explanation, but that's not what I was asking.
Okay, well,
He knew
I will go,
exactly
I
what
will
I
go
was
back to
asking.
the other. If you're talking about the transition as far as the employees are concerned, then that would be then those people that are qualified to become teachers. If that's what they so desire, then we can do something to keep their position. But there are other positions that we're not even looking at. Let's just go back to homeless education, where we have a person that, Miss Davis. Everybody that works under Miss Davis, they're all school improvement specialists. So if we're going to keep that department and we don't have the funds from a grant to keep that department, that means that we will have to spend money for that department. Otherwise, we need to change a job description and give them another title. So they're not called school improvement specialists, but that is what they do. And I'm going to point out one other thing, as far as what the people said this morning during the hearing. The people said this: we are giving money for incentives. They want real money for their salaries, because when it's time to retire, nobody's going to count the spring break bonus. We have, some people said to me this morning, of course, although when we were giving out money, of course, everybody was happy to receive it. They said, we wish that we hadn't gotten all the bonuses, that could have been money that actually went into the salary scales. We must look at the salary scales. If that means you're going to spend your fund balance, then so be it. We do need to look at trying to raise the salaries. And the other thing is I like the attendance. I like the attendance incentive, because as I said to them this morning, if we compared some of our teachers' attendance to our students' attendance, it's not so good. We need our teachers to come to work. But as a cancer survivor, and I've spoken to several people, when you need to go get chemo, that all of that is going to eliminate your being able to get that money. So if we're saying we're giving $2,000 or 12, whatever it is for that, those people are automatically out of getting getting that bonus, because they must go to have the treatment. Miss Hill, I think I saw your hand.
Yeah, Ms. Gorey, I just wanted to do a follow-up from what you were saying. I don't want anyone to think that we don't want our teachers and our staffs to get the money that they deserve, because they do work hard. My question, and I remain steadfast on what I'm saying, is we have to truly be honest with the individuals in these positions and where they stand after this year. There is not a solid plan. Our teachers deserve any extra money that we're going to give them, the custodians or anyone else. But the SES is, we don't have a solid plan. And we need to be honest with them and be working on something. If you are planning to keep this position, this is something that we need to be talking about and seeing how it fits in our budget. But we are responsible for this budget. And we need to make sure that what we're doing, we're being, not saying we're not being honest about it, but that we're being truthful to them as to where they stand in this process. That's all I'm saying.
Go ahead, Ms. Hill.
Thank you. And I just wanted to follow up as the superintendent was speaking to the answering your question. I just want for clarity in reference to what is being proposed to sustain our SESs or those positions. They will transition into funded positions that are already budgeted if in fact they qualify for those positions. Is that what I thought I heard you were going to say?
You are correct, ma'am. You're absolutely correct. But we saw the need in order for us to keep them around another year, so it can actually shore up the plan and make certain that we do have opportunities. We were going to call them something else to be able to help with the discipline issues. And we spoke about it when we met in groups about what we plan on doing with these SESs as they transition, from and the general budget. We're not going to, Mrs. Cooper-Tillis, I hear you loud and clear. In order for us to be financially viable, we can't, we got to make certain that we keep a certain amount of money in our general fund balance, right? And we felt like we've done that in this budget. The things that we are doing by way of raises, we can sustain that and provide a balanced budget next year and the following year. While at that particular time, we'll take another look at our tax collections, just as we did this year, and we saw a big increase. We hope that trend continues. And if that trend continues, then we can take more opportunities to increase our teachers' salaries that we have to sustain. And we can't rely on the general fund balance to continue to pay salaries. That's why we tried to balance our appreciation by giving them a significant raise and also bonuses along the way that we pulled from the general fund balance because it was healthy, but we certainly can't sustain it year after year after year without having some evidence that our tax digest is going to go up. And when it goes up, we'll make that in the form of a raise, not a bonus for our teachers, and keep adding to what we're doing. That way, hopefully in a couple of 3 years, we stay on this trend, tax collections continue to go up as they've done. We keep pouring into the teachers with more money relative to a raise versus a bonus. But what we wanted to do this year is be competitive with what other folks are doing out there, because at the end of the day, we need to keep our teachers in the classroom and keep them right here in Clayton. So that's why we took a balanced approach between raises and bonuses, because we know what we did by way of raises, we can sustain.
Okay, so where's the raise?
The what?
Where's the raise?
You've been funny or?
No, I'm asking, where is the
The
raise?
raise was presented, ma'am, in the form of $3,000, another $1,000, and a step increase.
Okay.
That equates to about $5,000. On average, that's anywhere between 6% and 8%. Way more than a lot of other folks are doing out there. Trust me. But we still aren't satisfied. But the raise is in the form of real money, ma'am, to the tune of about $5,000. That's nothing to sneeze at.
The raise is still coming from the fund balance. Either way it goes, in order to have a balanced budget, we're having to use the fund balance. I think that what is the perception here is that you don't use your fund balance to balance the budget. The budget, you could say it belongs to us. The board's responsibility is to pass a balanced budget. That means you use your general funds, and if you have funds in your fund balance, you use them to have a balanced budget. And as I said, some of the employees are asking, when we give, Ms. Bivens, when we give the $1,000 in January, are we not increasing the salary?
Yes, ma'am, the $1,000 will increase their salary.
Right. So either way it goes, we are going to increase the salary. And I'm not sure what we're not getting. It's going, so if we're increasing the salary, that's the same thing. That's what they're asking for. Then increase it on the scales so that they can see it. Increase the parapros. One of the people that groups that we didn't even think about were the parapros. There's nothing in here for the parapros. The parapros are saying, people are telling me that they've been working for 23 years and they're just at step 12. That doesn't make sense. Our scale goes all the way up to 35. We have, if you just right now, if you have a degree in math or science, you could, and you work for 30 years and you are a retiree, you can come back and get your pension along with a full salary. So that's what people are asking for. They would really like to have the money that we're offering as a true salary, not as a bonus. Some of, and I'm trying to agree with you as well, Dr. Smith, some of it, we can't put it all together and put it on the scale right now.
Right.
But we must look at putting it on those scales. And everybody needs to look at the scales. You need to look, you need to compare the scales. You need to see that the scales have not changed over the years. And if we're going to give these, if we're going to put that $1,000 on and make these people understand that technically we are giving them a raise, but it's just not right now. It's going to happen in January. Then we need to show them a salary pay scale where where their salary is increasing.
I don't want you to confuse the audience, ma'am, but we are giving them a salary increase that will be impacted immediately. The $1,000 would just be an extra amount. But between the $2,500 that the governor, we've added another $5, which was $3,000, another step, which on average is about another $1,000, and another $1,000 in January. That's their salary. That is their salary increase. And that's what
I just said that. I just said if you could show them in a scale, that would be, they would understand more that they are getting a raise. It's just that they won't have some of it right now. I'm actually agreeing with you, but I think that you're not understanding what I'm saying.
I'm certainly not, because it doesn't sound like an agreement. It sounds like an opposition.
Can I,
Well, if it is
Ms. Forey, can I
opposition,
go
it's
over
all
this?
right.
Ms.
Yes,
Forey?
please do that.
may I, Madam Chair?
I'm gonna let Ms. Bivens go over the scale, and then you next on the floor, Ms. Bowles.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I took the liberty of taking our current scale and bumping it up by the $3,000. And then I looked at how much an employee would make. So let's look at what I just gave you, and I will share this with the rest of the board. I don't have it on a PowerPoint or anything, but on a T4, a teacher, a beginning teacher this year, right now, makes $52,309. With the proposed $3,000 and the step increase, because we know for our beginning teachers at step 0, we give them credit for 3 years, right? So they'll go to step 3. Their salary will go up by $4,269. For someone that's on step 5 today, they make $55,153. Their salary with the $3,000 and the step will go to $58,968. That's $3,815. So I had that prepared at 0, 5, 10, 15, 20, and 25. It shows where they are today on that step and what their salary will go to over the next year with the $3,000 and the step. And that's where we got our averages from. So on a T4, but at those steps, that range was 5% up to 8%, depending on where you fall on this scale. On a T5, the same person at step 0, we would move them to step 3, they would get a $4,449 increase. That person on step 5, when they go to step 6, they would get a $3,945 increase. Step 10 going to 11 on a T5 would get a $3,800 increase. 15 going to 16 would get a $4,371 increase. Step 20 going to 21 would get $3,692. And step 25, going to step 26, we get $4,002. I would be happy to email this to you all when I get back to my seat because I have it on my computer. And I have it for T4, T5, and T6. And in addition to that, I also added the incentive. And so with the incentive, let's go back to T4. That person on step 0, they would, with the $3,000, a step increase, and the potential to earn the $4,500, that would be $8,769 total that they will receive for next year. So I had that for each one of those steps at each certification, T4, 5, 6, and 7. And then with the mid-year proposed, we go back to step 0, and they go up to 3, they would get an additional, their total salary will be a $5,269 increase added to the $4,500.
Yes.
So that's what, $9,700 increase for the whole year.
In their salaries, a real increase. Ms. Corey, didn't want you to confuse the the audience, by thinking that they're not getting a salary increase, which they are right away.
Madam Chair,
I'm not, I believe it's Ms. Bowles, and then I'll get back. I'll get back. Is it you that?
Ms. Bowles.
Ms. Bowles, and then Ms.
Um, so many thoughts, but to quickly try to articulate what I'm thinking. One thing I'm noticing right now is we're having two different conversations. We're talking about SCSs and some of these ESSER funded positions that we're now going to pay for ourselves out of the general fund balance. And then we're also talking about pay scales, which in the teacher context would be funded. So there's the unfunded positions and the unfunded positions. And I think it's important to clarify that because nobody up here doesn't want to spend general fund balance money. Nobody up here doesn't want to invest in the kids if there's abundance that says that we can. That's nobody's point. The point is, if we're going to spend down general fund balance money, let it at least be funded instead of unfunded from grants we will never see again. So I think when we have these conversations, distinctions like that are important. Otherwise, the audience hears a false equivalency of people who want the best for people and people who don't, as if it's black and white, like we want to invest and some people don't. I just think it's really responsible or irresponsible rather if we're not going to lay out all of these little details. And I think this goes back to something that also not everyone seems to agree on, which is the fact that this conversation is so important and so much of what we're talking about, I think, takes time because even though we don't all agree on how this is coming out, I mean, Madam Chair has some really strong points that I actually agree with when it comes to making sure we put numbers in the scales and salaries instead of just, you know, these checks. But when she asked her question, I hear you too, Dr. Smith, about how we have to be judicious about the tax digest year to year. We can't just go doing salary scales that we can't sustain. So I hear you. And I hear that this year we're doing a little bit of both. A little bit of a bonus way to retain, a little bit of a raise to recruit, but no one is wanting to disinvest in anybody who we believe our children need. And I just find that false equivalency is damaging to the audience. And then the last thing I'll say was I think one thing that could support conversations like this in the future are timing. And here we are needing to make some really important decisions in a week or two. And we usually have these comment sessions in February and March, and some of this hairy stuff we could have maybe had a little bit more time to think through. So I don't know, I just wanted to say that the conversation about whether or not to address pay scales and whether or not to spend money, nobody doesn't think we shouldn't use the general fund. We just want to be sure that, to Dr. Smith's point, whatever we do, we can sustain. And some of this is funded and some of this isn't. And we have every right to ask these questions.
Madam Chair, I was just going to ask, Ms. Bivens said that she would email this to all of us, but can we get this on the website so that the teachers themselves or the employees themselves can see this? It's easier to understand when it's in black and white. And secondly, I have to understand, I understand the need for the salary increases, but there's also a reason for a bonus versus a salary increase because some of us were on the board when there was a horrible recession, and there's nothing worse than telling people we need to cut salaries or people. So, and I'm originally from the West Coast. I'm a tree hugger, I'll admit it. But to sit there and see my own state, who their largest districts are laying off teachers when we need them the most. So I am very conservative. It's not that I don't want to give you the money. I just need to make sure that I don't have to ever have to ask you for it back. And that's really important to me. And I hate to say this in public, but there is an upcoming election, and that might have a lot to do with what we have in the future. And for you who are politically inclined, I would ask you to write your senators, because if you took a look at that budget, these people in Washington tell you how important you are as teachers and educators, and what they give us is less than 1% of our budget. So did they put their money where their mouth is my question. And that's just my commentary for the night.
Ms. Williams, did you want to say something?
You already commented on one of them about the attendance incentive. I was gonna ask more about what that entailed and how was you gonna determine if the day they miss is, like you said, the kids get sick or something like that, you miss it on the bonus. So I don't think that's, the attendance incentive is I don't feel like it's a good idea. We need to use it in a different way. But when she was talking about discipline, I think we need to do harder stuff on the discipline. Because a lot of these teachers feel like they need more money because these kids are more, I don't want to use the word out of control, but, have more attitudes and stuff, I guess, these days. So we can find ways to get parents more involved, get more ways to, what's the word? What'd she say? Now, yeah, get the parents engaged, but she said something about the kids, about discipline. Like you having to wait 3-4 times before they go to the room, opportunity room, or if you just don't want to put the kids out because it's been 3-4 times. Principals send the kids back to the classroom when they need to be out the classroom. Stuff like that can help when they're not getting that kind of money. If they can get some peace, if they can get a lunch break with uninterrupted, not being in the cafeteria, if they can get their ELBC day to themselves and not have trainings every time they got a free period, they got to be in a training. So small stuff like that, if we want to go to a 4-day school week, I'm all for it. But I'm just saying there's other ways to make people feel happy than just money.
Some of us are speaking about confusing the public. First of all, let's get clarity on the general fund, which is the money that we have, and the fund balance. Two different things. You all keep saying the general fund balance. The general fund is the money that we have. The fund balance is the money that we could say is our savings account. So let's get that. That's confusing. Secondly, I'm trying to help you sell what you want because people want money, which is why I propose if you put it on the scale so they can actually see what they're getting, maybe it's more accepting. And then we keep talking about the time. This is the time every year that we are discussing the budget. We generally vote on the budget in the work session at the end of the month. So we've gotten input. We're getting input from other people other than ourselves, because originally the recommendation was that we only wanted to spend $2.2 million, which meant that we would be excluding staff that we needed. And we do need to look at some additional positions that would be beneficial at the building level, and look at other people that we have, as I said, right back to the parapros, where I see nothing, and everybody wants to, when we're getting the money from the governor's office, he's giving money to everybody but the parapros. Parapros, if you go into a classroom and you have a parapro, sometimes the parapro is doing more work than the teacher that's getting paid. So we do need to look at others. So I'm trying to help you sell your proposal, but I think what it is that you don't hear, some people are not hearing what I say because they may want to be in opposition in what I'm trying to explain very simply. So I'm pretty good with most everything that you have, but I'm expressing to you what was said to Ms. Baker and I when we were at the budget hearing this morning. and that is that they would prefer to have their money on a scale, on a salary. And we understand that we cannot necessarily sustain it because we already know what it's based on. Our millage rate, our FTE count, and all of those things are a part of the budget process.
You know, parapros are listed under classified, what we're doing for classified. So I don't want you to make the audience think that we're not doing anything for our paraprofessionals. They're under classified.
I understand it's many people are underclassified, not just the parapros, but the parapros are on a salary scale. And if you work 23 years, 23 or 24 years, you shouldn't still be at 12. You should be at a higher scale. You really should be get a step increase every year that you are a member. Okay? Do we have any other discussion?
That's it.
Okay, if one other part of the discussion is, these are your options as far as having another meeting to pass the budget. We need to set a meeting, or we can wait until the 24th to vote on the budget. Also, there are other things that we will need a call board meeting either way it goes. So I've sent you some options in the email that I sent you last night. So you can let me know what you prefer. If you want to wait until the end of the month and then you don't need a call meeting for the budget. But I'm sure that there are probably still some people that are sitting around the table that have questions, and you can send those questions to Dr. Smith, Ms. Bivens, but we still will need a call board meeting. I'm asking you to please turn in all your information on the 12th of June because we need to have a call board meeting.
Question, Madam Chair, when does the fiscal year end formally? Like, when do we legally, if your proposal's for the 24th, do we need the new adoption by the 1st
Yes.
of July?
It has to be done before July 1st.
Right.
By the 30th. And so if you don't do it on the 24th, then it's one of the days, 25th, 26th, any of those days up to the 28th. I'm sure that Ms. Bivens would not want it to be that late because there are things that we need to do financially. So, we could either have a meeting on the 10th, but 10th would be, we need to have a call meeting for evaluation purposes. All right, we could do it on the 17th. I just need you all to tell me what you need. I've sent you an email. I don't know if I've gotten a response today because I've been tied up with the budget hearings and some other matters that are going on in the district. So I haven't actually had a chance to even look at my email. So I don't even know if you all responded to me or not, but you can respond to me and let me know what's the board's pleasure. All right.
Y'all good? Any more questions? Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Bivens.
All right. The next item on the agenda, do you have anything else that you want to discuss in your update? Okay. The next item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes. We have the minutes from board work session, April 29th, 2024. And I need to know, do we need to add anything? Do we need to delete anything? All right, I don't see anyone, so therefore we will accept those as presented. We have the minutes from board meeting, May 6th. Do we need to add anything or delete? All right, we will accept them as presented. We have the minutes from the call board meeting on May 22nd. Anything to add or delete? All right, then we will take them as submitted. All right, the next item that we have on the agenda is the consent agenda for action, which includes the financial report, the SPLOST revenue report, the purchasing report, the SPLOST construction report, capital purchasing report, and personnel changes report. I'm going to take out the purchasing report as a separate item. Does anyone else have any? All right. I need a motion for approval of the consent agenda excluding the purchasing report.
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and properly second that we accept that part of the consent agenda. Please raise your hands for a vote. It is unanimous. All right, I'm excluding, we are going to vote on the purchasing report. As you will recall in our last meeting, there was an item number 3 for research evaluation in order to enter into a contract with the Henry County Schools. And we are pulling, Dr. Smith says we're pulling that from the purchasing report. So we will be voting on everything else in the purchasing report with the exception of that item. Okay, thank you. I need a
Second.
second. All right, Ms. Baker, please raise your hand for the vote. All right, it is a unanimous vote. I believe that we have covered everything. Have we covered everything?
Madam Chair, we have exhausted the entire agenda.
All right. Well, at this time, we are in adjournment. Thank you all.